For almost 30 years, Vakarizern Vivacarawangs lived an ocean away from Thailand. As a teenager, he lost his place within the royal family and left the country with his mother and brothers. He grew up, studied, and built a successful career in the United States. For most of that time, there was little reason to think that he would ever again become part of Thailand's public life. Then, in 2023, he came back. His return was emotional for many people, but it also raised questions that had not been asked for decades. Thailand was already facing renewed public interest in the future of the royal family, particularly because Princess Badrakatayaba remained seriously ill. Now, one of the king's sons who had spent nearly 3 decades in exile was suddenly back in Thailand. Vakarizern said he had returned as a private citizen and had no ambition for the throne. Still, people wondered why he had chosen that particular moment to return. And that question is at the center of his remarkable story. Because his journey from royal privilege to exile, and from exile back to Thailand, is unlike almost anything seen in a modern royal family. But there is another side to the story as well. As Vakarizern became more visible, public interest extended beyond his return to Thailand and into his personal life. A number of claims have circulated about his family and relationships, although not every claim can be independently verified. So who was the prince who disappeared from Thailand for almost 3 decades and then unexpectedly returned? And could his story still have another chapter ahead? Let's take a closer look. Vakarizern's story begins with his parents. Sujarani Vivacarawangs was a Thai actress when she became involved with then Crown Prince Vajiralongkorn. At the time, the Crown Prince was married to Princess Somsawali. Over the years, Sujarani and the Crown Prince had 5 children together, 4 sons and 1 daughter. After the end of his first marriage, the couple married. For a time, the family appeared settled. But the marriage eventually broke down in a very public and painful way. In the mid-1990s, Sujarani left Thailand with her children. The relationship between the Crown Prince and his former family ended, and the consequences for the children were lasting. The 4 sons lost their royal titles and were no longer treated as part of the royal family in the way they once had been. Vakarizern was around 15 years old. He had attended Harrow School in Britain, one of the world's best-known boarding schools. But the life he had expected was suddenly gone. His sister, Princess Siravanavari, later returned to Thailand and remained within the royal family. The brothers, meanwhile, continued their lives abroad. For Vakarizern, the next chapter would be written thousands of miles from home. The family eventually settled in the United States. For someone who had grown up as the son of the future king of Thailand, America represented a completely different world. Accounts of the family's early years abroad have described the difficulties of adjusting to a new life without the position and security they had once known. Vakarizern and his brothers had to find their own path, away from the royal system that had shaped their childhood. Vakarizern focused on education. He went on to earn his degrees and later completed a Master of Laws at George Washington University Law School. He built a career as an attorney and spent years working in the legal profession in the United States. In many ways, he had built the kind of life that seemed to have little connection with royalty. But Thailand remained part of who he was. And after nearly 3 decades away, he was finally able to return. When Vakarizern arrived in Thailand in 2023, he did not return quietly. News of his visit spread quickly, and his public appearances attracted considerable attention. He visited schools and temples, met members of the public, and took part in charitable activities. In northern Thailand, he was warmly welcomed by local residents, many of whom greeted him with the traditional Y. He also visited organizations working with children and took an interest in community projects. At one point, he was photographed using Bangkok's BTS Skytran, a small moment that helped make him appear more accessible to the public. Vakarizern said that he was visiting Thailand as a private citizen. But because of his background, it was difficult for people not to see a larger meaning in his return. As Vakarizern became more visible in Thailand, interest in his private life increased as well. Reports and social media discussions have made claims about his marriage, his family, and his relationships. Some of these allegations are serious, and the available information does not allow every claim to be independently confirmed. That distinction matters. A public figure can quickly become the subject of stories that spread faster than the facts themselves. And in the case of a member of a royal family, the interest can become even more intense. What is clear is that Vacarizern spent much of his adult life away from the spotlight. He built a professional life in the United States, and his recent return has brought a completely different level of attention. If he continues to have a public role in Thailand, questions about his private life are likely to continue. But those questions are only one part of a much bigger story. Because the issue that has followed him since his return is not about where he lives or who he knows. It is about whether the prince who was once pushed out of Thailand could ever have a place in its future. This is where speculation needs to be separated from reality. Vacarizern's return has encouraged discussion about the throne, but public discussion does not determine royal succession. Thailand's succession is governed by constitutional provisions, royal decisions, and long-established traditions. There has been no official announcement naming Vacarizern as a future king. His return may simply represent a personal reconnection with the country where he was born. But the fact that people are asking the question at all shows how much his position has changed. For nearly 30 years, he was known mainly as one of the king's sons living abroad after exile. Today, he is once again visible in Thailand and has re-established a connection with the country where he was born. That does not mean the throne is waiting for him, but it does mean that his story is no longer only about the past. It is also about what might happen next. And perhaps that is what makes his return so fascinating. Vacarizern does not need to publicly say that he wants the throne for people to wonder about it. Every visit, every public appearance, and every sign of a deeper connection with Thailand is now viewed through the same question. Could the prince who was sent away as a teenager one day return to play a much larger role in the country he lost? At the moment, nobody can say. But his life has already taken turns that few people could have predicted. A boy who left Thailand and grew up in exile became an American lawyer. Decades later, he walked back into the country where he was born and found that people still remembered his name. And that brings us to where his story stands today. For nearly 30 years, Vacarizern Vivacarawanks lived outside the country where he was born. He left Thailand as a teenager, lost his place in the royal family, and built an entirely different life on the other side of the world. For decades, his future seemed to have nothing to do with the country he had left behind. And yet, he came back. That is what makes his story so difficult to ignore. His return does not mean that he will become king. There has been no official announcement, and the future of Thailand's monarchy is not decided by public speculation or media attention. But after nearly 3 decades of exile, the simple fact that he is once again part of the public conversation is remarkable. Perhaps he returned only because Thailand is still home. Perhaps he wanted to reconnect with a country and a culture he lost when he was young. Or perhaps his story is still unfolding and nobody, including the people watching him most closely, knows where it will lead. Because history has a strange way of bringing forgotten people back into the spotlight. And sometimes, a journey that begins as a return home becomes something much bigger. For now, Vacarizern's future remains uncertain. But one question is no longer easy to dismiss. After spending almost 30 years in exile, could the prince Thailand once lost still have a role in its future? Only time will tell. What do you think about Vacarizern's return? Do you believe he could ever play a larger role in Thailand's future? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy thoughtful stories about royal families and the people behind the headlines, please like this video and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.